All right, welcome. This is Freddie with Duke Report, and this is my Duke football overall season record prediction, as well as bowl game prediction, as well as my college football playoff predictions and my ACC predictions. Before I get started, I'd like to thank my sponsor, Trisha Johnson with Property Navigators Real Estate. Contact her for all of your real estate needs for Smith Mountain Lake, Roanoke, and Franklin County, Virginia. That phone number is 540-814-3399. If you're catching this on Blue Devil's blog, you can go to the sponsors link and find out more information for Trisha Johnson to contact her for your real estate needs. All right, also, I hope to see you all at Wallace Wade Stadium. We're not many days away from the start of the college football season. Labor Day weekend, I'll be here before you know it, and I hope to see you guys on Friday night in Wallace Wade Stadium as Duke kicks off the college football season versus Elon. My ACC ballot. I was at the ACC kickoff in July, and I know not everybody shares their ACC ballot, but here at Duke Report, I'm definitely going to share it with you, and I'm going to go ahead and give you the order now of the ACC projections I had. I had number 1, Florida State. Number 2, Virginia Tech. Talk about them in a minute. 3, SMU. 4, Clemson. 5, Miami. 6, NC State. 7, Louisville. 8, that team from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. 9, California. 10, Duke. I'll explain why they're at number 10 soon. 11, Pittsburgh. 12, Wake Forest. 13, Syracuse. 14, Virginia. 15, Georgia Tech. I'll explain that too. 16, Boston College. And 17, Stanford. That was my predicted order for the ACC finish. Now I will break it down and go ahead and look at the college football playoff teams that I have projected to make the college football playoff. I have 4 teams from the SEC. Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss making the playoff. 3 teams from the Big Ten. Ohio State, Oregon, and Penn State. Still not sure on Penn State, but I have them making the playoff. I have 2 teams from the ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference, All Coast Conference. Florida State, and yes, Virginia Tech. I think Virginia Tech's schedule is set up pretty good for them to make the college football playoff. Have only 1 team from the Big 12, Utah. I have Notre Dame making the college football playoff. Just like Virginia Tech, I think Notre Dame's schedule this year is set up for them to make the playoff. And I also have, as a G5 team, Liberty making the college football playoff. So my 12 teams, again, were Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, FSU, Virginia Tech, Utah, Notre Dame, and Liberty making the 12-team college football playoff. All right, my ACC projections. I had filled out my ACC projections, ACC record, overall record, and bowl projections, and I actually had it down here back on July 27th, and I have ripped that one up, and I have done it again. I have actually ripped it up a few times and racked my brain, but now I'm settled on my preseason projections for the ACC, and I will share those with you now. Number 1, I have Florida State at 8-0 in the ACC and undefeated at 12-0. I have Florida State as a top 4 seed team making the playoff. After what happened last year, I think it's Florida State's time, and I think they go undefeated and make the college football playoff. At number 2, I have Virginia Tech. I know a few may be asking how I have them that high. I think their schedule is set up when I look at it with the teams that are on the schedule. I could see them only losing 1 game during the season. So my ACC projection for Virginia Tech is 7-1 in the ACC, 11-1 overall, and I have them making it the college football playoff between a 5 and 12 seed. At number 3 in my ACC projections, I have SMU 7-1 in the ACC and 10-2 overall. As I look at SMU's schedule, I do see Florida State on there. I see Duke as well as a few other teams. And I see SMU having other than a few teams, a pretty favorable schedule to go 10-2 overall and make the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Clemson. Looking at Clemson's schedule, I mean, they have Florida State, they have Louisville, Virginia Tech. It's not too bad of a schedule. NC State. Well, they do have Appalachian State. There are some teams on Clemson's schedule that could pull the upset over them. I went back and forth with this one, but I settled on a 6-2 ACC record, 9-3 overall, and I have Clemson head into the Holiday Bowl. Number 5, Miami. I have Miami living up to the hype this season. Not enough to make the playoff, but to go 6-2 in the ACC and 10-2 overall, heading to the Gator Bowl. I think their schedule, they do play Virginia Tech, they do play Florida State. Looking forward to that Duke game, but as I scroll through the schedule, I see possibly 2 losses overall, so I have Miami at 10-2 and heading to the Gator Bowl. At number 6, I have NC State. NC State, I have them going 6-2 overall as well. 6-2 in the ACC and 9-3 overall. I think NC State has a pretty favorable schedule, and I think they can live up to the hype. I do see Tennessee on here. I see Clemson. I see Duke. I see some teams that I think can get them, but I think the schedule is favorable overall for NC State to go 6-2 in the ACC, 9-3 overall, and I have them in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. At number 7, I have Louisville at 5-3 overall and 5-3 in the ACC and 8-4 overall. When I look at Louisville's schedule, I do see Notre Dame, I see SMU, Miami, Clemson. I see some tough teams on Louisville's schedule, but I went with 5-3 in the ACC, 8-4 overall, and I have Louisville head into the Duke's Mayo Bowl. At number 8 is a team from Chapel Hill. Kind of went back and forth on this one, but I have them at 5-3 in the ACC and 8-4 overall. I think UNC has a very favorable schedule ACC-wise, but I could see them slipping up. I could see an upset with JMU. I do have Duke beating them when I get to Duke later on. I do have Duke getting the victory bell back. But, they play Florida State, NC State. But still, I think their schedule is kind of favorable. So I have UNC at 5-3 ACC, 8-4 overall, and UNC head into the Pinstripe Bowl. At number 9, I have California. Welcome to the ACC, California. When I look at their schedule, I have them 4-4 in the ACC, 6-6 overall, and I have them head into the Birmingham Bowl. At number 10, Duke. I have Duke going 3-5 in the ACC this season and 7-5 overall and making a bowl game. I'm going to share that bowl game here after I finish the rest of the ACC projections. Number 11, I have Pittsburgh 3-5 overall. 3-5 in the ACC, 6-6 overall, heading to the Military Bowl. Number 12, I have Wake Forest at 2-6 in the ACC, but 5-7 overall. When I look at Wake Forest's schedule with NC State, Clemson, Cal, North Carolina, Miami, Duke, I have Wake Forest falling short of making a bowl game with 5 wins. Syracuse, I have at number 13 in the ACC, going 2-6 in the ACC, but 6-6 overall. When I looked through their schedule and looked at Ohio, Stanford, Holy Cross, UNLV, Boston College, I think Syracuse can make the 6-game wins. So I have them at 2-6 ACC, 6-6 overall, and I have them heading to the Fenway Bowl. At number 14, I have Virginia at 2-6 in the ACC, 4-8 overall, no bowl game. Number 15, Georgia Tech, 1-7 in the ACC, 3-9 overall. I know what you're thinking. I'm not quite as sold on Georgia Tech as some of my friends are, but let's take a look at this. Let me just bring it up. All right, when I look at Georgia Tech's football schedule, open up of Florida State. They also have Syracuse, Louisville, Duke, North Carolina, Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, Miami, NC State, Georgia. That's a tough schedule. I think there's quite a few losses in there, and I'm sorry, but I had to put them at number 15, 3-9 overall. Number 16, I have Boston College, 1-7 in the ACC, 4-8 overall. And then last, another West Coast team at number 17, Stanford, 0-8 in the ACC, 2-10 overall. I have 12 bowl eligible teams in the ACC. That would be FSU, Virginia Tech, SMU, Clemson, Miami, NC State, Louisville, UNC, California, Duke, Pittsburgh, and Syracuse. All right, now let's look at Duke. I have my card right here. Let's see. Let's look at the schedule. As I look at the Duke football schedule, they start off with Elon. I have that as a win. They then go to Northwestern. I have that as a win as well. They then play Connecticut at home. I have that as a win. They then travel to play Middle Tennessee State. I have that as a win. I have Duke football starting the season at 4-0. And then they welcome UNC back to Wallace Wade Stadium for the Battle of the Victory Bell. I have Duke beating North Carolina to claim the Victory Bell again. That sets Duke up at 5-0. For a road game at Georgia Tech, I went back and forth on this one. I could see it as a possible loss, but I have Duke beating Georgia Tech to start the season. Yes, 6-0, and probably ranked in the top 25 at that point in the season. On that coming Friday, Duke plays Florida State at home. I do have that one as a loss. They didn't play SMU at home. I have that as a loss. They travel to Miami. I have that as a loss. They didn't go to NC State. I went back and forth on this one, but I have it as a loss because I think NC State is looking for revenge after the way Duke beat them last season. They then host Virginia Tech at Wallace Wade Stadium. I have that as a loss because I have Virginia Tech as a college football playoff team. So yes, I have Duke starting the season 6-0, but then losing 5 games in a row, but finishing the season at Wake Forest with a win to go 7-5 overall. And I have Duke playing in the Gasparilla Bowl down in Tampa Bay with the warm weather. Looking forward to it. So once again, my projection for Duke football is 7-5. In the ACC, that's 3-5, but 7-5 overall, heading to the Gasparilla Bowl in Tampa Bay. I could see the bottom for this team being 5 wins, maybe 4 if things don't go well. But I think it's I think it's very obtainable for Duke to go 6-6, 7-5, or even 8-4. 9-3, if all things are firing on all cylinders, it's probably the ceiling, I think. But I'll settle on 7-5. But like I said, it could be 6-6, it could be 8-4. Be sure to check out Blue Devils blog for more Duke basketball and football content coming this fall. Also, I want to finish this by saying follow our friends. Follow the guys at Duke Football Talk. Me and Brian do a bowl projections every week, and that'll be on the Blue Devils blog. And those guys put out an excellent podcast every week, updating on the game that Duke is playing. Also, follow my friend Ben at Bull City Coordinators. Excellent podcast. And definitely follow Joe and Joe at OG Triangle Media. That finishes up my ACC projections, my college football playoff projections, as well as my Duke football season record and bowl projection. I hope to see you all out Labor Day weekend, Friday night at Wallace Wade Stadium. And until then, stay cool, my friends.